You know that feeling, right? When you're at a huge company convention, the energy is just electric. There's this incredible sense of shared purpose, and you feel like anything is possible. Well, let's dig into what that feeling really means for a company's culture.
I mean, picture it. You're in this massive room with thousands of your colleagues. The lights are hitting the stage, people are getting recognized for their hard work, you're hearing these amazing success stories, and the speakers are just delivering one powerful, motivating speech after another. For those few days, belief is sky high, the vision is crystal clear, and the energy is absolutely off the charts.
But here's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? What happens when the lights go down, the confetti is swept up, and everyone flies back to their day-to-day grind? How much of that incredible energy and belief actually sticks around? That's what we're going to unpack right now.
Okay, so here's the core of the issue. When a company's philosophy, its core values, its real why, is mostly just talked about at these big flashy events, it starts to feel less like a foundation and more like, well, entertainment. It's treated like event content, not the cultural infrastructure it's supposed to be.
This right here, this slide just lays it out perfectly. On the one hand, you've got philosophy as an event. It's seasonal, right? It happens once or twice a year, it creates these massive emotional highs and gives you a short-term shot of motivation. But on the other side, you can treat it as infrastructure. And that approach, it's constant. It's woven into the daily fabric of the company, and its goal is to shape actual, everyday behavior. That's the real difference between a fleeting feeling and a true culture.
The thing about relying on those emotional highs from a convention is, well, it's simple. Emotions fade. A powerful speech is awesome, it's super motivating, but it doesn't permanently change how we behave. Real, lasting change, that comes from consistency, day in and day out.
See, real culture isn't built on a giant stage once a year. It's built in the small, seemingly boring, consistent interactions. It's forged in the weekly team meetings, during that crucial onboarding for new hires, in those quiet one-on-one mentoring sessions, on leadership calls, and yeah, even in the everyday chit-chat that happens by the water cooler or over Slack.
And when those small, daily interactions don't line up with the company's core philosophy, something really dangerous starts to happen. It's called drift. And drift is so tricky because it's subtle. It's this quiet, gradual reshaping of what your company is all about. You don't see it happening day to day, but fast forward a year or two, and the organization has become something it never, ever intended to be.
In a lot of companies, especially in sales or network marketing, duplication is everything, right? The whole idea is to replicate success. But when a culture starts to drift, you have to stop and ask a really important question. What is actually being copied and passed down from person to person? Are your people replicating the deep, foundational principles that make the company great? Or are they just copying a bunch of surface-level tactics that might get a quick win, but don't have any real substance behind them? And this slide just shows the two paths so clearly. When the philosophy is weak, what do people copy? Well, they copy what they see works in the short term. Aggressive tactics, chasing the next bonus, an obsession with volume and rank. But when the philosophy is strong, when it's lived every day, what gets duplicated is so much more powerful. Things like integrity, long-term thinking, a sense of leadership responsibility, and a culture built on service and resilience. And the consequences of getting this wrong, they're pretty serious. You get fragmented subcultures popping up under different leaders, all doing their own thing. New people learn the how, the mechanics, before they ever understand the why, which means their commitment is only skin deep. The whole organization becomes brittle, totally vulnerable when a real crisis hits. And maybe worst of all, you start developing leaders who are just transactional, focused on the numbers, not transformational leaders who actually build people up. So that's the problem. How do you fix it? You have to stop treating your philosophy like it's a nice painting you hang on the wall and start treating it like the building's foundation. You make it the operational bedrock of the entire company.
So here it is. Here's the blueprint to make it happen. Number 1, you teach it from day 1 during onboarding, so people get the why before the how. 2, you reinforce it every single week in meetings and calls. 3, you align your promotions with it. You gotta reward the right behaviors, not just the biggest numbers. 4, you integrate it into recognition. Celebrate the people who are living the values. And number 5, maybe the most important, leadership has to live it, they have to model it, every single day, no exceptions.
So here's a little litmus test for you, a checkup for your own organization. Just ask yourself these questions, honestly. Does your onboarding process actually reflect your core values? Are your promotions really based on character and behavior, or is it just about who has the best stats? When you recognize people, are you rewarding quality or just volume?
And are you training your leaders in character, or are you just teaching them sales techniques? The answers to those questions will tell you everything you need to know about whether your culture is real, or if it's just a poster on the wall.
At the end of the day, it all boils down to a choice. It's a fundamental decision every leader has to make. Are you building for temporary momentum, or are you building for a lasting legacy?
Look at the difference here. An event-driven culture creates emotional dependency. Your people need that next big event to get fired up again. It creates temporary momentum and really fragile growth. But a philosophy-driven culture, that builds emotional steadiness that can get you through the tough times. It builds sustainable, long-term growth and a true, lasting legacy.
And there's this quote that just nails the entire idea perfectly. If your philosophy only shows up once a year, it's just entertainment. But if it lives and breathes every single day, that's when it becomes a legacy.
So the last question I want to leave you with is this. In your organization, is your culture just an annual message shouted from a stage, or is it the operational foundation that everything, and I mean everything, is built upon? Because the answer to that will determine whether you're building something for a season or for generations.